You know the term, like folklore, myths. They're not true. It's folklore, right? They get a harmonica and do a little dance and a little song around the fire. Well, as it turns out, the banking and accounting regulations that were put in place long ago by politicians that were paid off by bank executives to put those rules in place to form what is known as legalized fraud. And everyone's ranting and raving about JP Morgan. Better than expected. Unexpectedly better than expected. There's that word again. Unexpectedly, surprisingly, whatever, better. Their third quarter wasn't nowhere near as bad as we thought it would be. All right, yet their stock still was tanking today, wasn't it? Along with all the other banking stocks too. So speaking of folklore, I'm going to do a little harmonica song for you of folklore for Jamie Dimon. It's called "Oh Jamie Dimon, Don't You Cry for Me." Alright. Oh, Jamie Dimon, head of CEO of JP Morgan, don't you cry for me. He's probably not really crying, but he is behind the scenes. Because even with the cookbook accounting that they do, the truth is still behind the scenes. Even though they're legally allowed to come out today and say, here's our numbers, check them out. We actually did better than anyone thought. You guys thought we were going to be down? We thought we were going to be down to this level? We're actually better than everyone thought. Really? How'd you guys pull that off? Well, we just did. We pulled it off. JP Morgan's profitable. We're a good company. Really? Yeah, listen, Jamie Dimon, don't you cry for me. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and read you some of this from, again, Harvey Organ. He always gets all the information, puts it in a nice little neat place for you to read it all. You don't have to bounce around finding it. It's all right there. JP Morgan reported $1.02 of earnings per share, ahead of the Wall Street Einstein consensus expectation of 92 cents. Hey, however, 29 cents or 28% of the reported number included a non-cash accounting gain, which resulted from JP Morgan exploiting a very controversial accounting rule that lets a bank essentially create income when the market value of its outstanding debt goes down in value. Nothing more, nothing less. If that happens, they can magically pretend that they made money. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But let me continue. Without this fictitious income, JP Morgan would have reported 79 cents, which is well short of the expectation of 92 cents, when in reality they reported $1.02, which was great. They would actually be reporting right now 79 cents. Not 92 cents where they thought they'd be, certainly not $1.02 where they are, but 79 cents. Ooh, that would have sucked. Ooh, their stock would have went down even harder today without that little rule in place, which I will explain. Please read that again if you don't believe that you really read what I just wrote. The truth is that if you pour through JP Morgan's earnings results with a critical eye, not a mainstream bozo eye, or even a mainstream economist, expert, JP Morgan was great. Yeah, great stock. Oh yeah, I'm an expert and I make $1 million a year. It was fantastic reporting by JP Morgan. I'm an expert economist. Listen to me. Well, he said it. I guess JP Morgan is in good shape. Now, listen to the bozo in the laundry room with the fake green screen that he made behind him. He's going to tell you what's really going down. Incredible. You got to go to the least likely source to get the most relevant likely information. Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left, black is white, white is black. That's the world we're living in right now. How can a serious investor trust any kind of earnings report that is put out by any financial institution? What's appalling is the way the financial media looks at the headline numbers reported by JP Morgan and lauds it for beating earnings and revenue expectations and remarks at what a great job JP Morgan is doing. And then casual investors turn on Bloomberg TV and see the accolades being tossed out, or open the newspaper tomorrow and read just how JP Morgan's earnings report exceeded expectations, leaving said investor or observer with the impression that things are improving in our system. They must be. I guess the recession really did stop in April of 2009 as it was reported. But prices around me are kind of going up on a lot of needed things. Yeah, gas came down a little bit recently, but other things still kind of suck. Jobs are pretty bad and getting worse still. Oh, but that's right. No, unemployment stayed the same. Oh, that's right. And how do they come up with that number? The same way they come up with these little nonsense rules. Cooking the books. The birth-death model. So many births during this month or this week, then therefore there must be so many deaths that we just didn't calculate, or that we do calculate in our own fake minds. And that must mean somehow there's certain jobs created due to the birth deaths. So some people died, they had jobs. Some of those people died, they had jobs. Therefore, some of the new people who didn't have jobs go into there. And since kids are being born, other jobs are created to help that out somehow. Like, new doctor jobs and labor, whatever. Let me stop. The fact of the matter is that JP Morgan's accounting presentation is legalized fraud. The reporting of it by the financial media, the drive-by media, which is financially supported by the advertising and promotional revenues paid by banks like JP Morgan, is outright Orwellian. Our entire economic and political system is on very frightening, slippery slope toward the dystopic vision presented by writers just like Orwell, Rand, and Huxley. Let's review how this legally fraudulent accounting gimmick works. To be honest, I'm not even sure how the Financial Accounting Standards Board, also known as FASB, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, ever allowed this idea to be made into a rule. Well, I can tell you how. Political payoffs, clearly. It's literally legalized fraud. Although it's available to use for any company/entity, it was designed to apply specifically to Wall Street banks, any entity with, quote, with available for sale and trading securities. In other words, this rule was designed to permit banks to further manipulate their accounting income, i.e. non-economic cash-based earnings. Here's how it works. If the market value of a company's debt obligations, bank debts, bonds, etc., goes down in value, the company is permitted to recognize accounting income measured by the amount that the holding value or book value of that debt declines. That's it. You're going to have to press stop or pause, rewind for a second, and hear me say that again. Yeah, that's it. Creating, again, money out of nothing. And actually, if they're not really creating the money, they're actually just creating a accounting entry of money of some certain amount that they can then legally report. It's not there, it's not real, but it's legally allowed to be reported as if it was. Therefore, JP Morgan's is up today. Or not, their stock wasn't, but this released number was up today, above where it should have been. Wow, JP Morgan must be the man. Jamie Dimons, son, you need to give yourself a raise. Get them protesters out of your yard. Get those bozos out of there. You need a raise, son. So in other words, the company can create income based on the amount of book value of their debt declines, even though this decline typically reflects a higher degree of risk and financial instability. The, quote, income is created by assuming that the company could go out, if it wanted to, into the marketplace to purchase and retire this debt at a big discount to what would be owed on the debt at maturity. You may need to think about this for a minute to really understand how the rule works, so that you can understand how pathetically flawed the logic is that's even behind this rule, that even allowed this rule to get created. Here's the coup de grace of this rule's absurdity, straight from FASB. The fair value option is applied only to entire instruments and not to portions of instruments. So in other words, in order for a company to book this accounting gain, it must take the full amount of market value decline on the entire debt issue, for each debt issue being used for this purpose, under the completely mythical assumption that it could theoretically go out to the market, buy back the entire amount of each debt issue at market value, thereby creating savings by retiring this debt at a discount rather than paying it off as it matures, like they're supposed to. Sound like anything that is anywhere even remotely close to being realistic, especially for companies with hundreds of billions in debt outstanding? Not in your life is that realistic. The fact is that when the market value of a company's debt obligations declines like this, it becomes even less likely that the company has the ability to go out and spend any cash to purchase its debt. Period. This happens in reality very rarely. It's like not possible. I really can't believe that anyone, especially JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, can take JP Morgan's earnings with this accounting bullshit layered in and present them with a straight face. Seriously. The fact that reporters in the financial media are doing celebratory backflips over this earnings report is a testament to the degree of absurdity and lack of accountability that has enveloped our system. That Jamie Dimon can present this garbage is an egregious insult to anyone who understands accounting and finance. It truly is Orwellian. The golden truth is that most Wall Street analysts, if they even understand anything beyond simple GAAP accounting, GAAP accounting, will gloss over this earnings abortion and move on by explaining that JP Morgan's balance sheet is stronger than is required by the regulators. Jamie Dimon refers this to as JP Morgan's fortress balance sheet. Without having the time to delve into the research and calculations required, I would bet my entire net worth that if I went line by line through JP Morgan's asset base and applied true market value standards to its assets, that its book capital would fall well below regulatory requirements. In fact, that's the reality for every too-big-to-fail bank, by the way. Given that we've witnessed the big banks create massive paper earnings, first using mark-to-market fair value accounting on their assets, creating gains for income reporting purposes, and fictitiously marking up crap assets for regulatory purposes, and then use the reverse release gimmick to generate fictitious earnings last quarter, and now this debt valuation adjustment fraud that just took place to generate paper earnings this quarter. He says, I can't wait to see what accounting fiction they roll out for the fourth quarter of 2011. Rest assured that this is entirely fiction and fraud made possible by a system entirely based on paper currency and phony accrual accounting rules that have value based on what the government decides to tell us it's worth. So yes, JP Morgan is only playing by the rules, but it's also fair to say that the big banks like JP Morgan paid the politicians handsomely to have those rules put in place in the first place. We all know that. Well, or we'll know we've truly transformed into Orwell's vision when the banks announce that the losses they are reporting are really gains. He says, oh wait, that's what this DVA accounting is. Never mind, you got gold? And that's it for that. That was posted by Dave in Denver from Harvey Oregon's website. Next headline, the trade deficit in America continues to remain in the stratosphere, and this is a negative to GDP from the Dow Jones Newswires. And that is it holding steady at $45 billion. Pretty decent sized trade gap. The U.S. trade deficit was about flat at $45 billion. Anyways, next one, the one I really want to get to next. This just released, 4:42 Eastern Time, as Fitch rating agency downgrades UBS, the largest bank in Switzerland. On top of this, they put all of the big banks on negative watch. These are as follows: BNP Paribas, the largest French bank; 2, Société Générale, the second largest bank in France, or the largest French bank, whatever; 3, Morgan Stanley; 4, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs? Hey, who's playing a joke? Goldman Sachs is doing God's work. People that do God's work can't be on this crap list. That's impossible. Who the heck is the head of Goldman? Someone get him on the phone right now. Why did he say they were doing God's work? It was just a joke? Oh, okay. Just making sure. Number 5, Deutsche Bank, the largest German bank. Barclays Bank, one of England's biggest banks. So UBS, which is a huge bank, the largest bank in Switzerland, just got downgraded. Not on negative watch, got downgraded. These other 6 are on negative watch. And let me tell you how this negative watch goes. It's going to go the same way I told you the pigs nations. Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Spain, Greece, again, all those guys. Greece was first. I said, don't listen to what that bozo prime minister's saying. They're done. Their books aren't good. They're fine. Yeah, everything's fine. Financially, we'll be okay. No, he's lying. They're going to go down. They went down. We need a bailout. We need a 3rd bailout, 4th bailout. I don't even know how many bailouts are on now. I don't even know. They're probably at number 5 or 6 somehow. Next, we heard about Ireland, austerity measures, Portugal, Spain, all of them, Italy. Portugal came out. Our books are fine. We have a sound economy. As old George Bush Jr., little dumb Bush would say, it's resilient. Portugal, the financial system is resilient. That's what they said. And I said, don't listen to that bozo. The same bozo in Greece, that prime minister, said the same thing. Look at Greece. Portugal will be next. Don't listen to that bozo. And by the way, so will Spain. Sure enough, hardly any time later, Portugal's next. Yeah, we're going to need a bailout. We're going to need the austerity measures, this and that. I thought you said it was resilient, right? Just great economy. Everything's fine. You don't need nothing. Liar. And as that's taking place, Spanish prime minister comes out from Spain. Our accounting, everything, economy, it's all to the T. The books are right. Everything's good. You have nothing to worry about. And then, of course, after that changed, I had to do another video not that long ago to show how now Spain's in big trouble too. Lie after lie after lie. So what this means, oh, well, UBS got downgraded. These guys are on negative watch. You might as well downgrade them now because that's where they're going to go. Yeah, but what if they could pull a move like J.P. Morgan? Hey, they $1.02. We thought they were expecting 93 cents. They got 102. No, actually, they would have got 79 cents if they did the proper accounting. But they did. They were playing by the rules, the laws that are in place. Oh, that's right. Financial fraud is legalized fraud. Legalized financial fraud. Call it what you want to call it. You can't polish a turd. A turd is a turd. So, Fitch downgrades UBS, many others, puts Morgan Stanley, Goldman, BNP, all of them on negative watch. Since one cannot get a downgrade of banks during market hours, of course, we couldn't have that negatively affect the markets, for fears of springing who knows what circuit breakers on the markets, Fitch had to wait until just hours after the market closed to release its latest market surprise, which consisted of a negative watch announcement on those banks I just mentioned. Morgan Stanley, others it just slashed by some notches, others multiple notches, among which Landesbank Berlin IDR, Lloyds Banking Group IDR, RBS IDR, most importantly UBS IDR. The reason for the action, quote, the ongoing Eurozone crisis continues to feed intense market speculation regarding the potential for bank recapitalization schemes. Therefore, for the near term, the agency is maintaining a single A rating support range support rating floors for banks in its highest rated Eurozone countries. The Euro is not liking this announcement one bit. Now wait a minute. I could have swore that Slovakia, that last country in the Eurozone who voted no for the next bailout for Europe, the news today told us all it's a done deal. They're going to pass it. They've already got the numbers, so they're getting ready to vote. And again, they might do it, but it's only going to be for 400 or 500 billion euros, and they need like 3-point-something trillion. So even if they pass it, it's still, it's dead. It's a dead horse. It's not going to be revived. It's done. But it's funny how they guarantee it's already set in stone. It's a done deal. Europe's going to get the bailout. But they haven't even voted yet. And all the news agencies, as I did in my other video earlier, they're all out there screaming, hey, great, great news. Just like everyone's screaming, yay, good for JP Morgan. Their earnings were phenomenal. All the news on TV, New York Times, Bloomberg, everybody. Great reporting, JP Morgan. Man, you really pulled a nice one off. When it was nothing but a lie, fraud, financial fraud, book cooking, whatever you want to call it, because that's exactly what's taking place. But they're not breaking the law. They're using a rule that was put in the law many, many years ago. So you have to be smarter than the average bear to figure these things out and find these sources like old Harvey Organ and Zero Hedge, all these guys. This is where I'm reading this from. Really, it's Zero Hedge through Harvey. Tyler Durden, I'll tell you, he's phenomenal with his website, man. He's just incredible. The stuff he puts out. So, I mean, really? And just before I end this video, I'm going to go ahead and type in, let's get some news here. U.S. official, yeah, here's some good stuff. Yeah. U.S. official, multiple sources strengthen case against Iran. Multiple sources have corroborated the report about an alleged plot to assassinate the Saudi ambassador to the U.S., a scheme the administration is alleging is tied to Iran's military, a U.S. official told CNN Thursday. A U.S. official told. Who is he? Who? Name him. Oh, yeah, no, we can't do that. Why? Because nobody said it? Yeah. Yeah. Nobody actually said that. We're just going to say that they said it. So, it's not nonsense. They're gearing you up for the war with Iran. I already said so many months ago. I mean, God knows how long ago. We are going to have another event like 9/11. It'll be some kind of false flag, staged terror, whatever you want to call it, that's going to sucker us, pull us into this some kind of new war. It's guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed. It's as guaranteed as the sun coming up every day now. Would you bet the sun's not going to come up tomorrow? Not in your life you wouldn't, because you know you'd lose that bet. This is the same thing. Kind of like gravity. What goes up must come down. This is the same thing. Except the average person was never taught about this. Never taught in schools, colleges, nothing. So you have to use the internet and all these different sources and dump the bad sources, keep the good sources, and put all this giant puzzle pieces together until you're finally able to have a somewhat intelligent conversation and predict things based off of the research you've done. Which is where I kind of feel I'm at now. I may not be perfect. And, whatever. I don't claim to be. But, again, if you see someone dropping gasoline containers, pouring them out on a house, and then trying to spark something, it doesn't take a freaking monkey, bozo, whoever can figure out the damn house is about to go up. Even though he hasn't actually struck the flame yet. Right? So that's kind of where I'm at in things on reporting this stuff. You can see the stuff coming a mile away and then simply say this is probably going to happen in the near future. It's pretty simple. And sadly, it's not good. This is bad stuff. What are we going to do? Stand outside with the sign? Don't believe the news in Iran, or Iran's actually a good guy. You would have some dumb American come by and punch you in the face for even holding a sign like that. You're supporting terrorists. I'm calling the FBI and Department of Homeland Security on you. That's exactly what would happen. So you're better off shutting your mouth and just go to YouTube and make a video. And let everyone else just find you if they want to hear about it. That's all you can do. So I wanted to just find one more thing regarding Slovakia. I want to see, did Slovakia, did they pass it yet? Got any kind of stuff going on here? Last thing I've got here, 4 hours ago, I think this is probably kind of the same thing. Let's see. Slovakia's 4 hours ago. Well, this is actually longer ago than that. I don't know what time this is. It says 11:39 a.m. today, but I don't know from what time period. Slovakia approved Europe's enhanced bailout fund, completing ratification across the 17 Euro countries as the region's leaders prepare for a summit. Lawmakers voted 114 to 30 in support of the European Financial, which is called the EFSF, in the second attempt this week after Parliament failed to approve the measures on October 11th. Enhancing the powers of the EFSF, the temporary bailout fund, is crucial for adopting the key element in the strategy to prevent contagion from the debt crisis that has spread from Greece to other countries. European Commission President Jose Barroso yesterday called for a reinforcement of crisis-hit banks, the payout of a sixth loan to Greece, and a faster start for a permanent rescue fund to ease debt woes. Quote, "It is totally significant," Michael Gansky, head of emerging markets research, said. This pointed out the risks to the measures. It is not one decision maker, it's 17, and a small country like Slovakia can create trouble. The expanded powers of the 440 billion euro dollars 440 billion fund would allow the fund to buy the debt of stressed area nations and aided troubled banks in the region and offer credit lines to governments. Now, listen to those words. Would allow the fund to buy the debt of stressed euro area nations, aid troubled banks in the region, and offer credit lines to governments. But isn't the governments ultimately supplying the money? Isn't that what they're voting for? That they all have to take a certain amount of, risk by allowing this? So how could governments get a loan from the government? I mean, isn't that kind of odd? Oh, that's right. It's kind of like our government. We get a loan from the Federal Reserve, in a sense, which actually isn't part of the government, that most people don't know. But it's Federal Reserve. Duh. No, it's just named Federal, kind of like Federal Express. But that's not federal. So they're going to offer credit lines to governments. And what happens if those governments don't or can't pay back that loan? To ultimately themselves, through the European Union, I don't know, whatever. Who... Let me just refer you to Greece. That girl, lady, whatever, used to be France's finance minister, Christine Lagarde, became the new head of the IMF. And by the way, as I told you and predicted before it took place, all charges dropped by former IMF head was released today on the news, online. I predicted that while they were grabbing his butt at the airport and putting him in handcuffs. I already told you that would be fake. It's a complete made-up story. He's doing something that they don't want him to do, or they want him to do something and he's not doing it as CEO, head of the IMF. He doesn't mess with the club, and the club is spanking him now. There's no way they would go nab him and pull him back. You remember the elite, you get on that plane and he'll be long gone. There's no way they're going to snab you. Trust me. The judge refused to give him bail, bond. Nope. You're staying in jail. For allegedly raping somebody with no proof? That's right. You're staying in jail. You can't leave. And then he said, okay, what do you want from me? We want you to step down. From the IMF position. Yes. I am hereby stepping down. Judge releases him on bond, bail. Immediately. It's right there. It's right in your face. But I'm the guy with the fake nonsense green screen in his little computer room / laundry room, of all places, informing you on stuff you just don't get from the mainstream media. You would have never made those connections. And I say you, I mean the average people don't make those connections. You wouldn't be able to. Where are you going to get it from? Fox News never told you that. None of these mainstream did. I said it before, and I also said in the same video, this chick, well, not in the same, I did another video, but the before anything happened where he was even going to court or anything, I mean, I already said that he's off the hook. Now that he stepped down, they're talking about a few replacements, and they named like 4, 5, 6 different people who might take the job of head of IMF. And I looked at their little choice. One guy was even from Israel. boy, this major power there, hey, he could be a pick. And then I saw Christine Lagarde step out. I think we should have Greece start selling off its private or public assets. Privatization needs to happen to help pay back some of this loan money that they got from the IMF and the EU. Nobody else was saying that. As soon as I heard her say that, she's the next IMF head. Take it to the bank. It's good. Here's the check. She's going to be the next IMF bank. Take it to the bank. It's good. Oh, imagine that. She made it. Because that's exactly what they want. So when I read you this, they're going to offer credit lines to government. What is a credit line? It's an amount you're getting put in debt. You're putting a government in debt. How the hell can a private bank put a government? There's nothing higher than government normally. They have their own printing presses. Oh, wait a minute. No, they don't have their printing presses anymore. That's right. They're a 17-member nation of the EU. They couldn't print money if their life depended on it. Kind of like Greece can't print money and its life does depend on it. And they're firing more and more people, and the austerity measures get worse and worse and worse. But we did the first austerity measures. We did everything that you outlined. Give us that first tranche of bailout money. Here you go. Okay, we're going to get to the second one now, right? No, we need you to cut more because the numbers aren't looking good. But I did everything you guys said. I know, but you're going to have to cut more and you're going to have to cut more jobs. Or else you don't get the fund. The second part of the fund. Got to have that money. If we don't get that money, how are we going to pay ourselves? And, okay. Yep, you guys are getting more cuts out here in Greece. People protest, they're rioting more. Second one, thank you. Cast that one. We got some money in here. Now we need the third one. Listen, Greece, we know you did it twice now. You've complied with our austerity measures. We need you to do it again. Oh, come on, a third time? Yeah, and a fourth time, and a fifth time, and a sixth time, and it's not going to stop. It can't stop, because the more of this loan money they keep getting, that's debt on their books that they have to service now, and they're cutting the workforce, cutting the employees to make up the difference to help pay that, and then they keep getting more of it in. How can a normal, rational human being not understand this? And you look at 17 countries that are EU states, members, and they actually got Slovakia with the little tiny 4.5 million population. None of the people said go for it. None of the people want anything to do with it. And here it is. I guess it happened today earlier. Lawmakers in Slovakia voted 114 in favor to 30. That is massively in favor of this thing. And I think the reason why is because they said, as part of this vote, we'll have the elections take place 2 years early, which puts it next year, early next year. So they probably figured, all right, we'll have a chance to get our party big time in here. Let's do it. Not realizing you just enslaved your people to the EU debt system / IMF debt system. But you also guaranteed civil war, revolution in your country at a later date. So while you may think I'm pissed off about this, damn it, they did it again. I'm not. This is expected, as a matter of fact. Slovakia threw a major monkey wrench in the EU. I was waiting on that news to find out today or tomorrow that they didn't pass it and something happened. And then again, we have the Webbot thing saying something big's coming over the weekend, and the markets are going to be in a position where they just can't. The anticipation of the market opening for not good reasons on Monday will be incredible. Who knows what the markets are going to do based off of whatever happens over the weekend. And it's either a G7 or G20 meeting. I think it's G20. October 14th and 15th. So that's tomorrow and the weekend. So yeah, that's the G20 meeting. I can only assume at this point, based off of Webbot data, that something must not go too well at the G20 meeting. And maybe all these agreements where they all said all these countries will just continue doing bailouts and we'll continue TARP funds and this fund. So, not the EU, not the US, but the other G18 nations, if you will. Maybe they decide, you know what, we've had enough of this game. We don't want any more part of it. And yeah, EU got its 17th member nation to pass. They're going to get their $500 billion. Again, they need at least 3.5 or so trillion. So what that money's gonna be gone so fast. I mean, what? Then what? Another vote, another EU vote again? I mean, that's how they roll. So they did pull it off. It appears that now you can run the news stories. Go ahead, Fox News, Associated Press, Reuters, everybody else. Go ahead and run the story. It's a done deal. They actually voted and it passed. Don't open your mouths in advance saying it's a done deal, because we know how the propaganda backfires all the time, and you guys don't care. You know, you news agencies, you just report it anyways. Now a credible news agency would be reporting. Just like I read you, they just now passed it. Now you can go ahead and comment after the fact because it took place. Not before. Not we think we have the votes. We've had that happen here in America, where they vote on something, we've got the votes, we have the votes, and then they don't have the votes. And then they'll wait months and months and months later, we'll try again later. Same with the whole, I don't know if it was the health care bill or whatever. They didn't have the votes at first, and we got them, and then they'd postpone it. We got them, then they'd postpone it. Finally, they pleased everybody by putting all that pork and extra crap in there. That has nothing to do with health care, nothing to do with anything, but everybody was pleased. You wanted money for your state, and you wanted money for this little pet project, and you wanted this money for your campaign contributor who gives you a lot of money, so you got to pay him back. You're all in there. Take your little turn at the tranche of, the pig feast bowl here from the American taxpayer, the trough. So, anyways, I want to report that to you. This doesn't matter. The markets may be filled with glee tomorrow for some reason, based on this great news out of the Eurozone. It doesn't matter. Just like the overall trend for gold and silver is up. Even though there's little swings down, this and that, doesn't matter. The overall trend is up, 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 and away. Just like the dollar, if you look over the last 10 years, it's down, down, down to the ground. Meanwhile, the silver and gold charts are just the opposite. So, it's inevitable that this is going to happen. I'm just reporting some of this stuff to you guys. Like the 17th nation, member state of the EU, passed the law, whatever. Now they can all rest in peace. Oh, thank God we got that bailout money. It's nothing more than Greece getting bailout money. And as I've read to you, they're going to now enslave these governments in the EU with that money and say you got to pay it back. That government cannot make money out of nothing and say here you go to pay it back. They have no choice but to comply with the financial bankster international scumbags and their demands, which are going to be cut your employees. We're going to go. We need you to sell off that waterway. We need you to sell off that electric company, the garbage company, all that stuff. We're going to buy them for pennies on the dollar, of course, because by that time it'll be way depressed. We'll give you a couple of dollars for that. But we paid, $150 million for that thing. We'll give you $10 million today towards the money you owe us, actually. So they get the asset for $10 million, plus you still owe them whatever the original amount was. This is nothing more than financial terrorism. It's also nothing more than the end of a massive cycle, and the cycle will end in global revolution, as predicted by the Webbot. There will not be any country that skates by this. It'll happen everywhere. Different time periods possibly, but they'll all relatively be around the same time. Once it reaches America, which you can see it starting with these protests already, our dollar is the world's reserve currency still, and our plan, as Lindsey Williams said, is to default on that debt through our dollars, leaving everyone with worthless dollars because we print them to infinity to pay off the debt, I guess, which will cause massive heartache and pain across the world. And if your country didn't experience pain and suffering at the time when that takes place with the U.S. dollar and us defaulting on our debt, you will be feeling pain. This is the cycle of all cycles. So, that's all I got for you. And I'm going to bed now. Take care.